This is how you do it, everybody. What a wild ride. Second gear, get on the throttle now. That is a big qualifying session. We can go on board with Jack then from his flying lap.
What a lap that was. Everybody in the 70s now.
So that was the onboard lap that got pole position. Well, 3 points for starting on pole position. We go on board with him now to see how he got there. Mirko Bortolotti will move on to 25 championship points with that. Jack Aitken scores a point for third, so he'll still lead the championship. He's on 29. The gap will come down, though, between the two of them to 4 points. On board then with Mirko Bortolotti. This is how you do it, everybody. What a wild ride this is going to be, but wild, fast, and always under control for the Italian. This is on the way into the left-hand hairpin at turn 3. They drop down to 90 kilometres an hour from over 200 kilometres an hour. Third gear out of there. Go up to fourth gear, up to fifth gear now. Be fourth gear for the next corner. Or might be, might have held it into fifth there through triple, about 170 kilometres an hour through there. It tightens up, and then they go into the right-hander at turn 7. Second gear, 90 kilometres an hour. Watch out for this next bit through the chicane at turns 8 and 9, right and left, but it'll rattle the curves. Here we go. Whoa, straight lines it through there. Into the right-hander at turn 10. 130 kilometres an hour suddenly becomes 230 kilometres an hour by the time you get up to fifth gear. And then it's a right-left through turns 11 and 12. Third gear through there as well. Lots of mid-speed corners around this circuit. Nice and smooth through the S-bend section. Another right-hander coming up. This is fourth gear and almost 200 kilometres an hour. And then the last corner tightens up a bit. Second gear, get on the throttle now. Let it run out to the curb, sprint for the line. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get pole position around Oschersleben with Mirko Bortolotti. It's a Sports Car World Championship after 2 podiums from the first 3 races. We can go on board with Jack then from his flying lap, the lap that got him pole position by 1/10 of a second. On board with the Ferrari as he goes to around about 240 kilometres an hour, hits the brakes, slows down for turn 1, and then it's straight into this tricky turn 2. Understeer is always an issue there. Out through the hotel curve he goes, and on his way to pole position. So that's it from Brian, Oliver and me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box. Let's head back down to the pit lane and Verena Vries. That's a big qualifying session. It is always possible to overtake in DTM, but this isn't the easiest place in the world, and Kelvin van der Linde is in a good spot. If he can get a good start, let's go on board with him then. This was the pole lap as he goes from 255 kilometres an hour down to about 90 kilometres an hour. You go from fifth gear down to first, down to second rather through the first corner, second gear, then third gear as you snatch through the left-hander at turn 3. And then you're down to second again, about 75, 80 kilometres an hour through the right and the left at turns 4 and 5. You come back onto the tri-oval here then, this former oval circuit built on this huge former open cast coal mine. You come back off into the infield then as you brake and turn left and go through into second gear, turn 6. And that was a tremendous lap from Kelvin van der Linde. He'll be chuffed to bits with that. Let's go back to Verena in the pit lane. Right, we'll go back down to the pit lane now as you look at Thomas Preining's flying lap, one of them, and catch up with Verena. Thanks, Preining. Yeah, the Lamborghinis have been looking good, haven't they, this weekend? I don't think they quite got the rewards they really deserved yesterday because of the weather, but in the dry, they've looked good.
Yes, the weather played such a big factor as we look at this lap from Thomas Preining. And of course, without wishing to be the prophet of doom, to remind you, the weather forecast is decidedly iffy for this afternoon. So it could all change. And Maro Engel, of all the people, is probably doing a rain dance as we speak down in the pits.
Yeah, he most certainly is. What I didn't realise as well until this morning was that Maro Engel had an engine change overnight from the Friday to Saturday. The crew were up to 6 o'clock in the morning. So fantastic onboard coverage here from Thomas Preining. He'll get to, from his point of view, hopefully see a completely clear track ahead of him when he gets to the race later on. But two fantastic laps from Thomas Preining. In the end, he needed that second quick lap to just about fend off by 44 thousandths of a second Riccardo Felix. 2 points come to Mirko Bortolotti for qualifying in second, and a point comes the way of Thierry Vermeulen for qualifying in third place. So these qualifying points really do add up come the end of the season. So Mirko Bortolotti will move on to 46 championship points, but he'll remain fifth in the standings. Right, on board then with Max Paul. This is him on his pole position lap, charging at 260 kilometres an hour on the way into turn one, from sixth gear down to second gear, 90 kilometres an hour. Basically a big wide hairpin there. This wonderful section as you jink left then right through this S-bend section at turns 2 and 3, hovering between 140 and 185 kilometres an hour. Second gear, the banking through the Hutzenholz corner. And then you accelerate, unleash from 105 kilometres an hour all the way up to about 235 kilometres an hour, coming through the left at turn 5, the right at Schlottermacher at turn 6, then over the crest, downhill into turn 7. You drop from 235 to about 165 kilometres an hour to turn 8, a third gear corner here, and nice and tidy, lets the car drift out. And then into turn 9, this is another slow second gear corner, 100 kilometres an hour. You're already up to 160 by this point, and you slow it down for another second gear corner, turn 10, 90 kilometres an hour. Then you really unleash the power of the Lamborghini as you charge up through the gears into sector 3, over the crest and down into the chicane now, right through Hans Ernst Bock, the left-hander, then right through turn 12, 105 kilometres an hour, and then we're heading shortly towards the banking. This is into Kumo corner at turn 13, 130 kilometres an hour, third gear on the gas, and here we go, flat out, 200 kilometres an hour already, and this is where Max Paul is about to cross the line, and this is where he put himself onto pole position for the first time, his first full season of DTM. So good to see him going well, the former championship runner-up. Last podium that he had was here last year, so he's had to wait a while. His last win came at Hockenheim in 2022. This was the lap that did it then for Kelvin van der Linde. You ride on board with the driver second in the championship. He's in making his way through the first twisty section, the AMG Arena. This is where they turn off the Grand Prix circuit. It's quite a drop down there, as you can see, through turn 5, second gear, 80 kilometres an hour. Get on the accelerator and out in towards the fast sector. While we look at that though, we can get some more news from Verena. Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, that's the second front row starting position of the year for Ricciardo, but the last time he was on the front row of the grid was at the Lausitzring. Interesting to hear the sticking with the wets, but it was getting so dry that Marco Wittmann, who reckons another lap, would have definitely got pole position because he was on the slick tyre but ended up in third place. This is the lap that just about got Mauro Engel his first pole of the season, or the end of it, as he makes his way up into the Vidal chicane, turns left, turns right at the top of the hill. This is where it all went wrong for Sheldon van der Linde, and yeah, you can still see one or two damp patches out there. And he makes the apex. Mauro Engel gets on the gas, and he's done the job now. It's just a case of firing it up through the gears, heading for the line, getting there, and just about doing it by 7 thousandths of a second. So Mauro Engel closing the gap at the top of the championship to 19 points. He is leave to get through with a decent result, I think, because you could easily, like Sheldon van der Linde, end up at the back of the grid. So to get pole position is a massive bonus.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And you think, well, a 20-minute session, that's plenty of time. It's amazing how quickly that slips away. And if you get the tyre strategy wrong, suddenly you can be out of time. As we ride on board with Kelvin van der Linde now, let's have a look at what will be the pole lap.
Yeah, this was it. So it's still 12 seconds slower than they were going when they get on slick tyres for the race, but still mighty quick this. So it's fourth gear through turn one at the Nordkurve in the dry on slick tyres. They'll be going slightly quicker than that at about 180 kilometres an hour. They get to 240 kilometres an hour and then make their way into the Bernie Ecclestone turn two, where they drop down to 80 kilometres an hour. So that was the onboard lap that got pole position. What an effort. Let's hear now from the man of the moment, Thierry Vermeulen.
Copy that, mate. Let's wait 2 seconds at the moment. We are P1. No one is improving at the moment. Let's wait.
Don't get too excited job, yet.
Mega.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we knew that Ferrari was quick, didn't we? We've seen it with Jack Aitken taking the win yesterday.
First sector, a personal best second sector. So in about 15 seconds time, here he comes. Thomas Preining will be coming through, but at best he's going to be his third row of the grid with this penalty that he's got. Can he get the Porsche up into the fastest time? So far he goes through. Yes, he can. 1:17.199. We are absolutely flying, everybody. So even quicker than last year. Qualifying lap record has already been broken, Brian, by a couple of tenths of a second.
What a lap that was. Everybody in the 70s now.
The British driver in the Ferrari about to sprint for the line. This is going to put him somewhere near the top of the times as Ricardo Fella goes quickest for a few seconds only, because Aitken goes even quicker. So Fella briefly went quickest and Aitken goes quicker, not just by a little bit, by nearly half a second, 1:31.762. Phenomenal lap.
Wow, I did not expect to see 1:31s in this session today. Jack Aitken, who won here 2 years ago in GT Masters, albeit in a Lamborghini, wasn't here last year, was elsewhere doing a racing, but back here this year looking very dialed in. And this season in race 7 of the DTM 2024 season.
And of course, given this is the fastest group, that means Mirko Bortolotti will score an extra championship point for being third on the grid. And who knows, at Hockenheim, he could be thankful for that.
He really could, because we saw it last year. Every single point counts. Jack Aitken is on team radio.
Okay, P1, check, P1. Nice one, P1. Okay, cool the brakes, save fuel, and also overall pole. Thank you, mate.
Hey! How about that? Fucking hell. Good job, guys.
Jack.
Really good job. That was a really difficult lap. My God. Really well done, guys.